Hello, and welcome to the Love Your Work Life podcast. I'm your host, Elissa Shuck. Whether you're going for that next promotion, looking for a job, or making a career pivot, I'll teach you how to navigate it all so you can have the career you want. You're listening to Love Your Work Life, episode 46, and I'm so glad to have you here. Today's episode is influenced by a couple of things that I've been thinking about and encountering and pondering lately. And the first one is Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The other one is some of the thoughts that my coach, Brooke Castillo, has about thoughts and personal reality. Let's put it that way. And you might wonder why these two things actually come together, but it's really interesting. As you start to encounter some of the teachings of Stephen Covey, you'll realize that in habit number 1, he's talking about being proactive about your own personal vision. And the way to do that is first by being self-aware and understanding the paradigms that are going on in your mind that are affecting how you approach life, that are affecting the results you're getting. And that so much aligns with the teaching that my coach, Brooke Castillo, talks about, because our thoughts do create our reality. This may sound like woo-woo stuff, but if you think about it, every single product, every single thing that we encounter in our life was first a thought in someone's mind. It doesn't matter if it's the toaster oven that you love that makes your life so easy, or if it's something bigger and grander. It doesn't really matter. Everything starts as a thought, and thoughts are just words organized into sentences. And we actually have control over our thoughts. We can actually leverage our thoughts to create anything that we want to, just like people that have created very fascinating products or fascinating services or new strategies that are changing the way people do life or do business. All of this capacity, all of this power is available to you as well. I love this quote by Henry David Thoreau. It says, "I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor." Now, that may sound like conscious endeavor as action, and obviously there's an element of truth to that, but I love the idea of thinking about this as conscious endeavor in terms of tapping into your consciousness, the way your brain works, and leveraging that brain physiology to help you get what you want in your next job and certainly in your career. Let's talk a little bit more about this. Personal vision is something that you will want to engage with on a regular basis. I feel like sometimes we start to get a little more self-aware, we start to get a little bit more personal vision going on in our life because of pain. Let's just be real. Like, if we want to run away from something, like a job that doesn't feel good or a toxic work environment, then it makes sense that we would sort of stop and be a little bit more introspective and try to understand ourselves better so that we can move on, that we can get out of there, that we can get more of what we want. But I want you to be thinking about this as a regular habit, right? Habits of highly effective people. If you're taking stock, if you are creating a personal vision for yourself, understanding your neurological pathways and those patterns of thoughts and behaviors and whether or not those are serving you, that is a really awesome habit to have. It's a lifestyle. Self-awareness in and of itself, that observation of what you're thinking and what you're doing and how you're feeling, observation alone is change. Quantum physics teaches us that just by observing the particles, they change their direction. They change their trajectory. They change their behavior. It is the same thing when we leverage self-awareness in our own life. When you are, so to speak, a curious watcher of your brain, when you are a compassionate witness to the patterns and the automatic things that you're thinking, you have the ability to change it, and you will change it just by being that observer. Of course, we want to take it a little bit deeper than simply observing, but it's kind of like once you make a decision about something, then it's easier to make decisions in the future. When I talk to a client and they're inquiring about working with me, I just love it when they make a decision. I, of course, want to work with anybody. I know I can help anybody, but I always feel a little pain when someone doesn't get back to me. Not because of me, but because they haven't made a decision. Your decisions, yes or no, are super powerful. And by making a decision or by observing your own patterns of thought, that's when you are starting to create habits that will ultimately help you navigate an entire career, not just the next thing in your job search. Know that it's always created in your mind first. What you want is created in your mind first. And by leveraging that, knowing what you want and creating it in your mind first, you will find it. It'll be much easier to find the things that align with what you want. This is opening up those filters in your brain to help you see it out there because you've seen it first in your mind. Now, I know that this may be difficult, that deciding that your job search is easy is not necessarily a thought that you can believe. I totally get that. Instead of worrying about the fact that it's difficult for you to believe something, try this as a technique to help you create a pathway, a ladder, so to speak, to those new thoughts. So if your current thought is getting a job at the money I want to make is going to take a long time. You know, there's studies out there that tell you it's going to take a long time. You don't have to believe that story. But if that's a pattern of thought that you realize that you're thinking, instead of trying to say, hey, it's going to be easy and be short, think about it like this. Add some modifiers to the beginning of your thoughts to help you start to change your thoughts. So instead of thinking, getting a job that I want, that pays what I want to make, is going to take a long time, add this. I'm open to the idea that it won't take a long time to get the job I really want. It's possible that getting the job I want is going to be easy. See how you're making that little subtle move, that little subtle pivot? First, you've observed the thought you don't want to have. And if you've decided the thought you want to think instead, a lot of times it can actually be the opposite thought, adding that little modifier to the thought you want to think with, it's possible that. I'm open to the idea that a job search can be really easy, will help you get there, will help you start to change the reality that you're experiencing in that job. Another idea could be, I might be wrong about a job search taking a long time. Ooh, another good one. It's that subtle thing. Now, how does this help you, practically speaking, in a job search with the tangibles that you know that you have to deal with, like a resume and an interview? Even job search strategy can be affected by these subtle thought changes, by these intentional changes that you're making with how you want to think about your job search and your career. So let's take job search strategy first. If you are constantly thinking that it's hard to find a job that's perfect for me, then you are not opening up your self-awareness to the roles that actually align with what you want. So instead, when you're thinking it's possible there's quite a lot of roles out there that are a great fit for me, now you're opening up your awareness. Now you're creating this opportunity for your brain to leverage its desire for harmony by showing you the jobs that actually do align with what you want. When you start looking for roles on whatever job search platform you like, you will start to see more of those because you are thinking the thoughts that help you observe, that help you create a reality that's actually possible. How does this work on your resume? Well, when you're thinking about your future self, when you're thinking about what you do want, then it'll be much easier for you to find the relevant bits and pieces of your job history that are most aligned with your future self, with what's possible. So if your thought is, it's entirely possible that I can land a VP role, it's entirely possible that I can move from middle management to senior management. Well, now because you're thinking those thoughts, it'll be much easier for you to observe the bits and pieces of your experience that actually align with VP roles. You won't be so attached to the things that are your past. You'll be looking for those connections, those overlaps, because you all have them. Trust me, they are there. I help clients find them all the time. There are overlaps, there are clues in your career, in the things that you're doing now that will underpin the success that you can have in your future. That are the tools, the strategies, the skills, the capacities that you have to do the next thing in your career. But if you're only thinking about the past, if you're not giving yourself room to think thoughts that envision a better future for yourself, that envision that next role for yourself, then you aren't making space in your brain to find those. It's those observations that will start to change the trajectory of your world. So your resume can become much more powerful when you're looking at it and you're developing it from the perspective of, what about myself actually demonstrates that I'm already equipped to do this bigger job? Then you're going to find the things that will help you show the other person your capabilities in a way that gets them envisioning you in the role. Now, how does this come about in an interview? In an interview, you have a very unique opportunity to leverage this capacity of observation and this ability to create a reality in your mind. Because when you go into an interview and you're thinking about your future self, acting, thinking, feeling like you already have the job, that is going to change your body language. It's going to change the way you sit in the meeting, virtually or not, right? It's going to change your posture. It's going to change the way you think about yourself and therefore change the way you communicate about yourself. If you go into every interview acting like you already have the job, that hiring manager, that recruiter is going to get a much clearer picture of you in that role because your picture is clear. That's going to be the transfer of energy that will happen. That's you being the more powerful energy in the room, is because you have already envisioned yourself in your role. So when you're thinking about being proactive, about having self-awareness and creating a personal vision, I want you to project more of that towards your future. Leverage the accumulated value of your career, and not just because of your past, not just because of the evidence in your past, but I want you to be thinking of it as an opportunity to create what you want. That it doesn't have to be a new product or a new strategy or, the next widget that gets created in your mind or an inventor's mind or an artist's mind. We're all creators. This is the nature of things. An ever-expanding universe and ever-expanding possibilities are 100% available to you in the career trajectory, in the life that you want to create for yourself, in a work life that you can love and enjoy and feel that sense of fulfillment and purpose. But you have to believe it first. You have to think it first. You have to create it in your own mind before the pieces will start coming together for you, before you will start seeing those possibilities and those opportunities to showcase yourself on paper and in an interview. Do it for yourself first. Enter every single piece of your career, acting, thinking, believing that it's possible for you first, and then believing that you already have it. There's no better power to have in your career than what you can create in your mind so that you can actually experience it in your reality. Awesome. All right. I'll talk to you again next time. If you like listening to this podcast, and you are going to love my program, Job Search Field Guide. This is a unique opportunity. I offer group coaching 3 times a week alongside a 5-step process to help you land a job quickly. So I hope you will join me in Job Search Field Guide. This is going to be revolutionary to your career journey and your job search, and you get lifetime access. So find it at elissashuck-careercoach.com, and I will see you there.